Our climate is changing, and people are curious about why and how they'll be affected.
Yes.
What about all the satellites that we have in our atmosphere?
What, the satellites?
Yeah, what damage is that doing to our weather?
The satellites are not impacting our weather in any way directly. They're a beneficial component.
WKOW meteorologist Bob Lindmeyer frequently speaks about climate change to groups around southern Wisconsin.
People want answers now. They want to know, oh, so you're talking about climate change. Give me the proof right now.
But even though they have the proof, scientists have struggled to explain it. The effect of climate change in the world of science has been revolutionary, as it's put the scientists themselves under the microscope of public scrutiny. And it's causing the researchers to come out of their labs and into the public arena.
Science writer Ron Seeley teaches scientists how to better communicate with people about their research.
The first thing you do is acknowledge their beliefs and understand that they believe differently. That's a real change in acknowledging those differences in values and beliefs, and not diminishing them or not being condescending.
I've learned that I can present the facts. I can't make people change their minds. And that's difficult.
Veteran climate researcher Chris Kucharek says it's in the best interest of science to do a better job of communicating with the public.
It's part of our job, and it's part of the mission, you know, and part of the role as a scientist to do good science, and then also to educate the public on what we know.
Because some of these climate models.
But researchers like the UW's Ben Zuckerberg worry the ongoing discussion is distracting the experts and everyone else from taking the urgent action that's needed to slow climate change's rapid pace.
Every day that we get mired down in discussions where we're not talking about proactive measures to do something about climate change, that's just another day lost in terms of sort of what we can do in terms of mitigating that future impact on our societies and on wildlife populations.
Constantly thinking about climate change and being attacked for the science we're doing can take a real emotional toll on us as scientists, and I see that a lot in our community as well.
Dan Vimont is a professor and researcher of climate science at the University of Wisconsin and has been involved in the work since before the term climate change was being used. He says the public's curiosity turned to criticism when the issue turned political.
We get attacked for results that are inconsistent with what somebody would like to see. And those results are based on our understanding, not based on what we want to happen. I mean, as a climate scientist, I would love it if climate change weren't happening.
Along with the future of the planet, scientists are also concerned about the future of their work.
It really has a chilling effect on certain types of research, certain types of results. You know, people risk their jobs sometimes if they say certain things, even though they know these things to be true. And so things get suppressed, even if it's sort of indirectly.
Our climate is changing, and the solutions aren't cheap, and they only get more expensive as time goes on.
It's absolutely certain that we have to reduce greenhouse gases. You know, we have to decarbonize energy. We have to decrease our release of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. There is totally no doubt about that, but there are 1,000 pathways to that.
Now, experts agree that a lot can be accomplished by private business and public citizens, but they also concede that it will take governments and their power to enforce environmental laws to make meaningful progress in slowing down the climate change effect.
We need to get serious about this in the next 10 years. So politics needs to really, they need to figure it out because at some point the cost to society will become so large that we'll be spending an exorbitant amount of resources fixing things that we could have done much more efficiently a decade before. And there'll be huge environmental costs, and there'll be social costs to not responding to a changing climate.
And while the experts say it's not too late to take action, it is too late to reverse the damage that's already been done.
If we were to stop today putting all fossil fuel emissions and greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, there's a certain time frame or buildup or sort of residence that's already built into the system. So we'd already be feeling those changes for a number of decades into the future before things in the climate started to level off.
The next 20 years will be a fair amount of change, but it's probably the 60 years after that we're going to experience dramatic swings in our climate and changes on the globe that people better be prepared for.
Our climate is changing, and as dire as the situation sounds, and is, there's also optimism that history can repeat itself.
Our goal is a decent environment in its broadest and deepest sense.
April 22nd, 1970, the first Earth Day. Founded by Wisconsin U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson, it inspired 20 million Americans to take action to save their environment. And it worked.
We take for granted today the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. We take for granted the Environmental Protection Agency, which is there to protect every citizen's right for clean air and clean water. None of these things were the law of the land in 1970. And because of the public's response to this call to action, the environmental decade was launched.
Man has the wherewithal and the knowledge to do it, but they have to have the willpower to go out there and get it done.
If you're not a scientist, there are still lots of ways to get involved in learning about and taking action on climate change. The Citizen Climate Lobby is a way to plug into the politics, and citizen science volunteers are a very important part of the research process. Scientists told me they often rely on volunteers to collect data in the field so they can grow the scope of their studies.
And of course, there are the things we all can and should be doing in our daily lives, like driving less, installing LED light bulbs, putting a rain barrel or two on your house drain pipes, or maybe planting a rain garden to keep those extreme storms from washing everything into our lakes. There is a lot we can all do, and it all does make a difference. This has been Our Wisconsin, The Climate Change Effect. I'm Greg Jeske. Thanks for joining us.